The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is currently 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
Culture Crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick this off as we always do, all right? Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us. And we are not just talking about our ancestors, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, the Tainos and the Kalinagos, because we all know, accept, reiterate, say it with the chest and sing it to the top of our lungs that Columbus lied. But also to our brother in music, Tony Prescott, where the P this week stands for
precipitation.
Thank God for that, boy.
Yeah, like April showers wait until the last week to kick in.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
But with that precipitation, it also brings an age-old problem of flooding.
Pardon? Don't do
Yes,
that.
Rising Road flooded on Sunday.
Are you serious?
On my trip to Saparia Sunday night, there were parts of the Southern Main Road. Well, nothing like the SS Erin Road or whatever road they want to call it. I don't. As not the road godfather.
Wow.
That were under a few inches of water as well.
You tell me.
Apparently,
we had months. Anyway, you know what? This is me actively listening. You go ahead.
I'm not going to say. Apparently, we did not take advantage of the extra dry season to dredge the rivers, clean the drains. As a matter of fact, for us to stop littering. But you know what? It's the government fault.
Yeah. Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? I cannot believe that literally with a sprinkling of rain after all these months, when WASA has been telling us about how perilously low our reserves are and they're looking to activate water police and all kind of thing, you telling me that we get rain after one evening of mild rainfall. Anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. I ain't looking out. You know what? Cool.
It's too early in the week to bring on undue stress and increase the probability of hair loss.
Yeah, well,
or increase kind of hard for the both of us.
I mean,
increase the probability of grays.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Thanks.
I have two. Sorry. This
might say you have two. You know, I have two per strand. You know, that's how gray my hair is right now.
If you don't know the show you're listening to, this is The Living Room on the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM with yours truly, DJ Aaron, where I remind you that culture is my code, alongside my bro with no fro, but a lot of flow.
Ricardo Mitchell, the social sage, on the global stage, the metaphor king, bang.
Get my metaphor there, let me hear it quick.
Listen, I find you put me on the spot like a pimple on your first date, you know. You didn't have to do me that. You just jump out, make everything uncomfortable. We were going good, you know. Anyway, I hear you. But that's how I really run.
You know, long mean here about that age-old pimple on the first date, right? Right. It's really been a couple months where we have had a lot of serious conversations on serious topics, right? we would have recently, I wouldn't say concluded, but we are taking a short break from our online predators discussions, where we would have had Franz Jalizo, Lana Belgrove, Sean Crawford, and the specialist all the way out in Dominica,
Tanya Marie Dixon,
where we had 4 consecutive weeks of those conversations, and we decided to take today a little light. Because honestly, admittedly, the country is heavy.
Listen, special thanks to the listeners and the encouragers and the supporters. SEC out of Canada message yesterday to thank us for, having the difficult conversations.
And also to the commenters as well on who catch these shows after on YouTube and comment and discourage both Ricardo and I from our illustrious singing careers.
Yeah, apparently that didn't go over well. You know what?
It did not.
I might try it again today and see what happens.
No.
And the listeners, the live listeners, and for the commenters in the chat box and thing, Francis T, Dr. Cheese, Ingrid, big up all yourself.
Yeah. So we're taking it a little bit lighter because beside the online predators, a lot has been going on, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but around the world. And before we get down into the good part of today's program, there was one instance which, for the life of me, I still can't wrap my head around, with the young man that was shot after ringing the wrong doorbell.
Yeah, that was a New York incident, right?
I don't have the entire story, so I'm not going to try to get down into it and discuss it. But I still just can't wrap my head around that. Right?
That a senior citizen, if I'm not mistaken, Caucasian male senior citizen, shot a young man who rang the wrong doorbell because he went to retrieve his little brother's phone from a get-together. Like he had forgotten it, so he just went back to pick it up and ring the wrong doorbell.
And bam, because of I think it's the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms. But then again, in Trinidad and Tobago, there are factions and groups in society which are calling for the right for all of us to be able to bear arms.
And there are also office holders who are saying that assault rifles are the reason that we have the crime that we have in Trinidad and Tobago. So while one side saying grant us our firearm users licenses, the other side is saying, well, no AKs and ARs for all here. Help me.
But then again, how the AKs and ARs coming in? But then again, to add to that, the scan on the port still not going to be implemented until next year. So it's cool. It's just like it's like, if you use Excel, it's like a circular reference where you're trying to get the formula solved, but you're putting the end result cell as part of the formula.
Yeah, well, remember, this all maths, and the maths are maths because after you get them your X, you just have to wonder why.
And then it's still equal to X.
Well, I was referring to after you vote for them, deliberate questions and answers.
And I was saying it's still equal to X because the same politicians have been cycled through the past 45 years at least.
Yeah,
because
everybody want a piece of the pie. The 22/7.
Okay, 3.14.
Yeah, that's how we rule.
Right? That was actually very frightening that we were able to rattle that off so easily. Yeah? And I'm not just talking about the formula for pi, but to rattle off very quickly a world scenario and tie it back down to something that is happening locally.
Well, Aaron, despite the differences that we continue to propagate amongst ourselves, we all connected, We are, believe it or not, one race, We are, believe it or not, one people.
Human people.
They're like saying red beans and black eyed peas. Totally unrelated. Because it's two different colors now. There's beans and we're human beings.
Beings.
You see what I was trying to do there though?
Yeah, I catch it, Jeff. And that's the thing. I think this other movies that every time it shows, I just watch it.
Officer and a Gentleman.
2012 is No, 2012 is that one for me. I never watched Officer and a Gentleman.
Come on, man.
But then again, my movie knowledge and my movie acumen is very low apparently.
Don't
Anyhow.
worry yourself. Richard Gere, take it in.
I'll try. Just like I never watched Pretty Woman. But anyhow,
Wait, I feel you have a problem with Richard, you know. Anyway, sir. 2012.
right, so 2012, where they talk about the fact that if as human beings we stop caring for each other, that is where the society ends. I'm paraphrasing there. So guys, if as Ricardo said, you could be a lima bean, you could be a black eyed peas, you could be a pigeon pea. I don't know any other kind of beans.
Yeah, they have it. Have beans out there, man. Don't worry yourself.
You could be a chana,
A chickpea.
a chickpea, thank you very much. You need to care for your fellow pea or bean.
Yeah.
Because when we stop caring for each other, that is when it can't fail enough.
And as we at the tail end of a situation that totally disrupted the world, and it began across the world years ago. What we're saying is that we're paying for conflict that going on between Ukraine and Russia and other parts of Europe, and that's still costing us today. Right? There are still systems of shipping and manufacturing that have not recovered from the world stoppage that occurred with the panini. Right? We connected. Well, I don't know. I tell people mask right now is a fashion statement if you're wearing one at all. But anyway, the premise is that everything that affects any of us affects all of us. And until we start to see things like that again, well then, this global village that we have here, anyway, I'm looking at heavy down the thing. It's too early in the week.
Nah, it's never too early in the week because as Raskabanda said, it's a global village that we all live in. Okay, if you feel you could make it in Uncle Sam, and I'll just stop right there. Because that's an excerpt from the song Trinbago is Mine.
Mm-hmm. Hey, big up Ras again. Doing some agri-story, agricultural stories, agricultural history kind of vibes too. The man doing it big, Big up Ras, Commander.
Remember his last kaiso was called Planted, So, as we be talking kaisos, Ricardo, and just to bring a little something light here, on Sunday afternoon, I received a very fortunate phone call from an elderly gentleman who goes by the name of Kenny Phillips.
Wow! This man used elderly gentleman and Kenny Phillips in the same sentence. See what you're doing, sir. And this is me minding my business. Yes, Aaron, and what did he say?
But is he not an elderly gentleman?
Sir, this is your opportunity to express yourself. I'm not getting that.
Right now, so I've been trying to talk for Kenny for the longest while about doing a challenging him on the basis of kaiso music.
Cheese and ages.
And the challenge has now been laid. So we will keep you abreast here on the True Nation station as to when this challenge will be and what format it takes. And I hope that you, the listeners, do enjoy what Kenny and I bring forward to you all.
Cheese and ages. Yeah, let me know when that is. I gotta wear black, boy.
But for anyway, I'm gonna do
Gotta wear black. I gotta miss my friend.
Well, really and truly, the age-old saying goes, the winners are going to be the listeners and everything like that. But I'm coming out shooting from the hip.
Hey, Kenny is the one, Kenny in the Matrix when it comes to this kind of business,
I'm not gonna say if Kenny is the one, I are the two.
Oh, I stay out of that. But you know what? You have my full support and my condolences. I ride it with you. I believe in you. I believe in you. You know Easter Bunny and Santa Claus.
I'm gonna make a whole documentary out of this, honestly.
I like in that documentary kind of vibes, You know what? I feel I could record your process going into and what left of you coming out of this thing.
Well, no, really and truly, guys, because amidst it all, And even though we're talking about the human race, a key part of it, which has been a problem for me, which I am personally trying to fix, is the succession planning, right? And we have a generation above us, meaning Ricardo and I, and recently generations have been cut down to 10 years as opposed to the 25 years it would have been before.
Okay.
Now, if you really look at it, because the generation after us, Ricardo, come on, it's the 20-somethings.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because they have a totally different mindset to both you and I.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the technological advancements, because the generation before us were pre-internet. Our generation met the internet, and the generation after us doesn't know anything but the internet. So if you really look at that little 20 window span, where technology pretty much reshaped the way that things were being done, at least with this speed on this level, I could understand why there would be subsections of generations within that. So I wouldn't dispute your point.
Right. So a huge part of succession planning. So our history and our culture, to an extent, I wouldn't say it has died, but the transition of it from generation to generation has slowed. Because as you said, Ricardo, there's a generation now that only knows the internet. So if it's not on the internet, then it didn't happen.
It do exist.
Right. So this is now where the generation before us and us have to take the oral traditions, which are documented in our kaisos and our music, and put it forward for the younger generations to hear. Which is why it's important for us to document things like the mixes, to have to be able to go back and view the Marshcraft performances from 1994 and 2014 when Corporate sang Pious but Proud. Whatever it is, to be able to go back to see what the traditions were, what they sang about then, to be able to continue to tell those oral traditions today. To be able to tell people why Hulsi Bag are not moving.
Right.
Even though I don't think a lot of us, myself included, could even tell the whole story. All we could tell is what David Rudder sang about. And then we also got the unfortunate news of David Rudder being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease over the past week. And his concert, I think, is May the 6th.
Yeah, we'll confirm.
We'll confirm that, but I think it's carded for May the 6th. So that's the thing. The traditions should not stop at the moment an artist decides to stop performing.
No, and you know how I roll, I'm not even apologizing for it. I am going to blame some of the decline of tradition on the lack of proper stewardship. At the end of the day, if the message dies with the messenger, well, then how effectively was the message transmitted? We have a responsibility, particularly in this time and with the technology that we have, to properly document.
You know, as I said at Ricardo, and I know you would be a favor of this analogy, if the story of Jesus stopped with the apostles, how would we be able to worship today?
I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you ought to be able to go back and read something that somebody might have said or done, or listen to something that somebody said or done before you got to meet them personally. Right? What you telling me, Aaron, right, is that yes, there was a point in time where people would have gathered to sit down in a tent to listen to what the robust commentary on a political or social ongoing would have been. Times are changing and people aren't gathering to do those things in that capacity anymore. But you telling me that they'd have no way to disseminate that particular information to the people? Which is why I had to big up Kenny Phillip and his work with WAC and his work outside of WAC, because WAC is actually an expression of work that he'd been doing for years before. So much so that there's countless contributions that he would have made to our cultural landscape that don't even make it to WAC because there was no record of it. Then, I ain't talking about when he was blacklisted and that type of thing. I'm talking about the fact that there was just so much work that went on that short of somebody sitting down and telling you a story about it, you wouldn't know it happened. Right? We in a position here where I I hate the idea that there are conversations that have been had on WAC that if you want to find it now, you can't find it. And if you didn't happen to catch it and tell somebody about it, well, then it lost to the recesses of your memory. So what we have to look at now is, yes, there are things like Nalis and the Bocalit Fest and those types of things. You're seeing work with people like Abiyo Jackson and them who trying to do things to bring our cultural experience forward so that it is not lost behind. Right? When you look at the way that Freetown Collective and even some of the generals and them like Ataclan and Tree Canal, even Chronix, is Chronix his name? The rapper who does do the post-carnival wrap-up. Chromatics, right? Even if you look at the way that they're trying to create a hybrid of what was with what is, so that there will be something still. I mean, we had to salute the people, the stewards who put in the work, but I kind of had to wipe my feet on the people who have the resources and the authority to put things in place to support these moves and not doing it. I love the fact that nowadays entire music classes in schools are just practicing pan. I love that. You're seeing pockets of it. It is not across the board yet. But in terms of a music class, instead of teaching children how to play Three Blind Mice on a recorder and upsetting the whole neighborhood, where the musical history element?
Whoa. You never used playing Three Blind Mice or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in today's world?
I can't recall having done it recently. And it's like clothes. If you use it in the last 5 years, it's time to get rid of it.
You know what? I never used it. So the same way, and I had to interject here, the same way how you're talking about the recorders and stuff like that, is not just about the music part of it, Ricardo. In terms of the entire curriculum, a lot of it should be tailored to our history. Why am I learning about things that happen in France and Western Civ? No, I understand what you're saying. There's no dispute. But the majority of what is taught in our history lessons should be local or Caribbean history.
And there are people who are working on that.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting that down at all. We've seen the development of diasporic information and cultural history and those types of things. We see in it. Great.
Yeah, big up Hotfoot Harmony. Who taught us a thing or two about that when she was on with us.
Right. Big up the people like Naomi Woodsley and them who have us saying that Trinidadianese is our language. What I'm saying is, where in music class is the musical history? That's my curiosity. Where in a class where instead of, well, I go into class and I'm going to learn the basics and the fundamentals of learning an instrument. But where's and by the way, these are the people who contributed to our musical landscape. These are the people and these are the things that have you listening to the type of music that you're listening to.
You're saying that, Ricardo, and it hurts my heart just to say this. I must commend Jamaica.
Right.
On the way that they treat their musical icons.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk into Norman, you think Jamaica is Norman Manley?
You know what? I will agree with you.
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I'm wrong. If you walk into Jamaica's international airport, right? I don't have my phone to Google.
Yeah, you good. I will do a thing on the side here.
If you walk into Jamaica International Airport and you look at the tribute to their icons, it hurts my heart to know that when you walk into Piarco, you ain't seeing none of that.
Here the catcher, even if you walk into Piarco and see it, it stops as you leave Piarco. In Jamaica, the tendrils of cultural influence run deeply into the back alleys and the small villages where once you in Jamaica, you in Jamaica and you know who is responsible for what Jamaica is. Right? The murals, the artwork, they have the plaques and the statues up. The communities richly express the influences.
And you know what else happens in Jamaica as well? On every corner, you might meet a man singing a reggae. Or meet a man singing a dancehall. You know what we just meet in Trinidad and Tobago? A man on the corner singing a reggae and singing a dancehall. And we are not disputing the fact that the original reggae strum came from Trinidad and Tobago from a gentleman by the name of Nerlin Tate. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and search for Krazy's Calypso on YouTube called Nerlin Tate, where he will talk, where he teaches you that.
Yeah. And your right is Norman Manley.
Oh, thanks, way, boy. Social studies teach me well from back in primary school, boy.
Yeah.
Big up Miss Suku and Mr. Alfonso. But that's the thing. In Trinidad and Tobago, we are so accommodating as a nation that, to me, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but we are so accommodating that we accommodate everybody else and continue to stifle our own.
A couple of years ago, I would not have been an advocate for, let's say, mandatory 50% local, etc., etc. But I do recognize now the need to allocate a space and to dedicate resources to preserving your culture. I'm not saying evolve. I'm not saying don't evolve. I'm not saying don't accept. I'm not saying don't collaborate. What I'm saying is that you definitely have to have an element of preservation. And it's not a nationalism that I'm pushing per se, right? It is as a little patriotism. At the end of it all, as culture evolves, where are the records of the culture we've experienced?
You know, you talk about the legislation and the local airplay and stuff like that, Ricardo. We have approximately 35 radio stations in Trinidad and Tobago. One station, plays our music. You know how much percent that is?
Well, 1 out of 35, just carry 1. That's not even a good 3%.
Less than 3%.
Yeah.
So you tell me, on a given day, any given day, let's just say a Tuesday, you could only hear 3% of our music being played on our airwaves.
And I'm gonna say this here. Here's my issue. Here's an issue I have, and I'm saying it here. I'm saying it in big. Even in that 3%, you do get to hear all of our local music. I'm saying it big. And I'm going on the record with it. I would have loved to be able to listen to WAC for an hour for the week and hear local rock. I would have loved for an hour to be able to sit down and listen to the Etienne Charles and the Vonnet Bigfords and them, because we have a time slot dedicated to our contributions to jazz and modern and R&B and those types of things. I would have loved to be able to sit down and listen to a little Nadia LaFon and Meet Me on Level 2.
You come back with this Nadia LaFon around.
What I'm saying is we had songs that rocked the boat properly. Meet me on level 2. I want to rock with you.
And we talk about singing, Ricardo.
Yeah, I tell you, I was going to try it. What I am saying is that there's still opportunity, even within the space that we cultivate in here, right? To grow, to create a more inclusive space. And if we did create probably a more inclusive space for the other local art forms to express themselves, maybe we would have more stewards and advocates with the space that exists.
And that is the thing, huh? Now, for that to happen, the persons who are actively interested in those aspects of our culture, because let's face it, our culture is a callaloo, huh?
Yeah.
We can't fight that. Our culture is a callaloo.
Which is the blessing and the curse. The lack of national identity also stems from the fact that we have so many various identities that are elements of it. Go ahead.
Right? Now, if you are advocates of the culture, of your aspect of the culture, that is, and let me be specific there, if you like the R&B, and you probably want to do a weekly feature on that, give WAC a call. Come to them with something and let them know this is what you want to do and see if they would be open to it. Because I can remember there was a total local reggae show on WAC before. But the persons who were doing it didn't continue for whatever reason.
And I get it. I all about the self-advocacy, What I'm also going to suggest, right, is that you wouldn't walk into a roti shop and tell them you want 2 spring roll, or ask them why they're not selling it, At the end of the day, there has to be an opportunity for somebody to feel as if what they're doing would be appreciated, welcomed, or encouraged. The discussion has to go both ways.
Yeah.
Right? You wouldn't just pick up yourself and jump in a Princeton car and expect him to drop you off by the Twin Towers. Right? Because as far as you're concerned, that car not go in that place. So there has to be some kind of dialogue, or at least something that would be a little more invitational.
So what you're saying is we could have a space for a local urban radio station?
You see where you're going with that local urban thing? I'm not touching that with a poll. I am not.
No, but you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because if, as you're saying, the culture is diverse.
Mm-hmm.
So if, like I say, I have, like long time, as Kenny say, when he got blacklisted and things like that, if you don't know the story, we had an interview with Kenny and we spoke about that. So you could, I don't think it's documented online though.
You know what? It might be, but it would have been an audio version.
So we'll have to look for that. If
I'll get it up and we could post the link once it's available.
Yeah. If not, I think I also did an interview with Kenny where I could start to post some little excerpts of that on my Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
What's your Instagram again?
DJ Aaron 868.
Oh, just like all the other
platforms. All platforms. Same thing right across.
So if I wanted to catch this program or other episodes of this program, I could go on to DJ Aaron 868 on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. This is just me asking. Mm-hmm.
Right, cool. I think we can first go and say, but anyhow, right. So as I was saying, because as I said, the culture is diverse.
Mm-hmm.
We have, if you ever walk up these steps in WAC, we have Trini Pop, Paran, Soca, Calypso, Pan, Chutney, local rock, gospel. There's so much different things. It's impossible for one station to feature all that in a 24-hour span.
Not impossible, but the players, the stakeholders have to actively engage.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say impossible. It's improbable to feature all of that in one day. However, what I'm saying is if it had 37 stations.
I thought it was 35.
I didn't call the exact number. I said approximately 35.
Oh, okay.
If we had 37 stations, number 38 could be something where that just features local rock, local reggae, local everything else.
No, let me go back to the office holders. And the reason I'm saying that is because until the genre could support itself, it is going to need support. Until it gets the listeners, to get the advertisers so that they can pay staff, etc. If there were funds allocated to these local cultural spaces, I don't know, maybe if we had a ministry for things like, who knows, culture and community development, I don't know. If there were funds allocated to this, then I could probably start a little small station at running a couple hours every day, or a couple days for the week, or at least until I start building my revenue or start getting my investors, etc. But until there are systems in place to support, it is going to be very difficult for these players to get involved or to make the thing that they care about grow and prosper.
mtca.gov.tt.
Mm-hmm.
The Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts.
Mm-hmm. Right. And anyway, no, again, I'm putting you on the spot here, like that first aid pimple. Anyway, now talking about funds available for people who interested in preserving culture.
There is a port there, and I don't want to. You see, I don't have the exact information as to how to access it.
So you know what we could do.
However, what I will tell you is
somebody who know and ask them.
There is a fund which the ministry has that is allocated towards culture. And if you have your plans, you can go to the ministry and seek funding for that.
Hopefully you'll get through faster than it took or their patriarch to get the station up and running.
I'm not going to say that that's the next issue, because if they gave him so much trouble to have a total local station that only playing soca and kaiso, what going on happen if you're going to look for to do the others?
Right.
But that's a whole other conversation, which I know we need to have at some point. But today is just not that day.
Speaking of today being days, though, I want to say happy belated birthday to one of our star segment contributors, Miss Dana Tanku, with her segment Please and Tanku. Monday was her birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was. I'm not going to sing happy birthday, because the last time I sang here, one of the members of Vorish, she called me and she told me, she gave me an A for effort. I was like, so what about the execution? She had said to me that if my mother taught me that if I have nothing good to say, then don't say anything. So she said, we got an A for effort. So Dana, I'm not going to try and sing happy birthday, but happy belated birthday to you, and I do hope you enjoyed your birthday and whatever you did to celebrate it.
Yeah, well, you got an A for effort. We get a C and D, cease and desist immediately.
Yeah, but it was really bad, and honestly, it was terrible.
The only thing we ain't get is the PAPL.
Right? Here now, as we saying some good stuff, I want to big up Nicholas Paul. Another gold medal at the UCI Cycling Championships. He continues to fly our flag high, and we look forward to seeing him at the Olympics in 2024, I think.
Yeah, I think
in Paris. Paris, for those of you
who do speak French.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah. To get out, man.
Also, congratulations as the Trinidad and Tobago Premier Football League continues. However, I see that they are in some legal hot waters, which I don't think we have all the details to comment on.
So we won't at all.
Yeah, we won't at all. But congratulations, as they have football going on in Trinidad and Tobago for us to go and watch, as well as football for professional footballers to get some game time under their belt.
As we on football, I took in some Republic Cup games recently.
So just talk about English footballers.
No. I don't have enough time to wipe my feet on that. Why Republic Cup? Let me leave the bank out of this.
The idea is at 20.
It's that no wonder how involved the bank actually is. Now, while I saw a presence, and I am grateful for what it is they're doing, I do have to question a number of things about the event's execution. I'm not going to air dirty laundry. I am going to express concern about how invested they are in making sure that their efforts are not misrepresented or don't even prove to be harmful to the brand. I'm just saying that if anybody is working in public bank marketing, take a solid look at some of what is going on in the execution of this Republic Cup and ask yourself, if as an outsider you walked into this, if it was what you're expecting to see. And the reason I'm saying that, let me go with one or two light things. If there are 4 teams playing and you only have 2 tents set up, but 4 teams playing that day, are you saying that you expect that by the time 2 teams finish, the other 2 teams will get to use the space? What happens in the overlap? Are you telling me that we're going to have these teenagers and supporters sitting on in hot sun because they don't have a dedicated viewing space or a dedicated tent for the team, etc.? That is the type of thing that would encourage a parent to just jump off the train and come back after instead of staying. Right? What I'm saying is, you see them tents that are there? There's no reason that the tent pegs, the spikes, should be uncovered wrought iron pipes, because you are also talking about kids and teens that might be running around or scampering. right? Whatever happened to using the safer option, which is like, the heavy plastic water containers, etc. Or even worst case scenario, a concrete block. Because say the catch, a concrete block, while not necessarily safer than a peg, at the end of the day, if you bounce a concrete peg, you don't have to go and get it on a shot. Well, not a peg, a concrete block, you don't have to get it on a shot. What I'm saying is like there are little things that would suggest I've seen fet matches that have been better organized because the people who doing it regularly. So Republic Bank, I'm telling you, I'm glad that all you're doing this thing, but try to incorporate not just the people who could present an event or have a history in events, but some people who know about community football now. Somebody who goes say, yeah, well, it's 2 teams, and by the time one set finished, the next set could come in and use the space. People who actually do events will tell you, well, no, it have people who will come early and it have people who will stay back to watch after. Make sure if it's 4 teams, it have 4 tents, so at least everybody have a designated space. People could rest on the things, etc. Blah 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 blah. Hey, you see how you had them 10 pegs there? That ain't looking good, and it unsafe for the kids. Just people who actually know community sports as well as. So maybe this is just a one-off example, and it is flawlessly executed in all the other arenas. But I have personally seen people raising eyebrows as to the execution of the event. And if you're investing in it, I believe that, come on, man, let me make sure that the thing is something that come out with a positive enough report that people could continue to support it. That me there. I want to post pictures and videos and them kind of things. I'm not looking for that. I'm not shining up to embarrass. I'm shining up to see, be a little accountable. Don't just hand it off. Don't hand it off to somebody and how to run it around.
Well, Ricardo, I must add to that. The 2023 Republic Cup National Youth Football League, which runs from the 4th of March to the 27th of May, is managed by Gateway Athletics and sponsored by Republic Bank. And that is the official youth league of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association.
Mm-hmm.
So while I understand your anger towards Republic Bank as the title sponsor,
mm-hmm.
I must also bring to the fore, and again, this is not pointing fingers or anything, Gateway Athletics and the TTFA as the 2 other stakeholders within this league.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure who is responsible for the execution of the match day setup
mm-hmm.
and logistics, but whoever is, of those 3 persons, get your act together. Because I understand as well there is no need in Trinidad and Tobago's climate for games to be being played at 10 o'clock in the morning. Come on.
And I embrace that contribution, Aaron. I embrace that contribution, and I'll reinforce why I say what I said to and about Republic. Nobody calling it the Gateway Cup. Nobody calling it the Gateway Cup. It's a Republic Cup. So I'm speaking to who name on the thing. You get me? You put your money there so that your name on it. Right? As the young people will say, mind your bag now.
You put young people that say that, Ricardo.
I don't know, probably 4 of them. Right? The premise
who
is
that your nephews and nieces? That
they are all those of them things. The premise is you put your money there, secure your interests. I don't care about, yes, you sent reps, and yes, you got your pictures when you're walking around and you're seeing things that could possibly have somebody saying, look how my child get damaged, or look how this, or look how that.
But Ricardo, and this is the thing here, and I don't want to say there's the loophole in it, but this is the thing here. Not just for the Republic Youth Cup or Republic Cup, right? Any corporate entity in Trinidad and Tobago that decides to sponsor anything, most times it ends at the delivery of that big check.
So then I'm not just talking to Republic. Talking to corporate Trinidad and Tobago.
The corporate Trinidad and Tobago. Those who very willingly give.
Mm-hmm.
Because, right, and I'm not fighting them, and I thank them for that, because the responsibility of care for community doesn't just lie on the government of Trinidad and Tobago, both central and municipal. It lies on corporate Trinidad and Tobago as well. And the government has done their part to ensure that corporate Trinidad and Tobago receives financial incentive to invest. Lucrative, I must admit, sometimes in 200% returns. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But the buck needs to stop at just delivering that big check. And some of them, the check does cost more than the actual donation. But again,
we're not going into that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this. Sorry, go ahead.
But really and truly, to corporate Trinidad and Tobago, yes, we know you want to sponsor. But besides sponsor, look at safety.
And execution.
Well, I count in that under execution. Execution under safety. Because if you don't execute safely,
it could be a safe but poorly run event here.
Well, that too. Yeah, good point.
Right.
But really and truly, guys, to corporate Trinidad and Tobago, because I know a few managers of different entities do listen not just to this program, but to the station as a whole. Let's do this thing properly.
Yeah.
If you're given $100,000, I just call it a figure.
Yeah.
I like to call wrong numbers now. If you're given $100,000, ensure that at least 20% of that is done for safe execution of the event. And to the service providers who go in and put on the tents, get up to the time now. Nobody using them pound down thing in the ground no more. In 2023, you still pounding stake into the ground. And you kneel.
Now I acknowledge with the number of divisions, the number of games, and the number of locations that a lot of these things going to end up going out to other vendors. I get it. And I can't expect Republic Bank to have a presence at every iteration of every game at every level. I totally understand that. But by the middle of the tournament, there are certain things that should have been addressed. And again, it might just be because of the mind that I have for risk. When I look at these things, I might see issues that somebody else might overlook. Or even in the execution of certain things, there are allowable risks that you could mitigate for. I'm not saying no. Right? But what I'm saying is that sometimes you have to put your muscle where your mouth is. It's not just enough to throw money at a situation. Sometimes you have to actually get active and involved. Yeah. So corporate Trinidad and Tobago, I appreciate, and by no way I'm fighting on Republic Bank here. I saying this out of concern here, because I don't want all you to spend money on something and then afterwards all you get reports that have all you saying, well, we ain't going through that next year. I don't want that to happen.
And you know that the Republic Bank Youth Cup has been one of the longest standing youth football tournaments in Trinidad and Tobago. Yes. I remember playing it when I was 14 in Gara Park.
Gara Park, boy.
Hey, as I say Gara Park, on Sunday I took a trip down to Lucero, right? If you see how deplorable the Palace Seco Velodrome and the now defunct Petrotrin Sports Club is looking. A proper cycling facility in Trinidad and Tobago. Just there. For like growing grass.
I am saddened that as a media personality with a visual platform that you didn't take a picture so that we could have seen. But I just a little elbow to let you know, hey, if it catch your attention, I believe I should
have stopped. I'll take responsibility for that.
I appreciate that, man. I love that mature level of accountability that we could have. Yeah. The rigor hers. It's not criticism.
But you know, as a man, honestly, I have been told that I tend to be on my phone a lot, so I'm trying to be more wary of living in the moment at the same time. So it's to find our balance.
As is with all things. I appreciate you saying that, man.
But you know the balance.
I'm trying to find some balance myself.
But you know what balance we should also find? we could balance ourselves down to Point Fortin on Friday, 28th of April, for the individual iron rhythm competition. It's called Beat the Iron While It's Hot, and it's being put on by the Demi Melville Entertainment family. If you don't know who that is, like Damian Melville and them.
Nice, man. I remember several years ago had a robust conversation about why we don't have more acoustic events. Glad to hear this type of thing coming. Glad.
So you're going on your Friday, you want to go?
Hey, Point Fortin, man. Long time I ain't touch point, you know. There's a possibility. Well, I mean, while we have not really mentioned it, today is the last day that I am 40 years old. I'm going to be 41 as of midnight tonight. And I am officially...
That statement has traumatic references.
Well, listen, I kind of feeling that way, you know, Aaron. I am now officially... I ain't just 40 again. I'm in my 40s. Right? I am now 40-something. Right? And I lied to tell you, it's going to be an interesting season ahead. I realize that I can no longer actively identify or officially identify as a youth. Right? There's no form that facilitates my age in a youth category. Right? And I'm going to be a little more vocal, active, present. I'm definitely going to level up, because plain talk, bad manners, the generation ahead of us, this is not their concern anymore, and the generation behind us don't know how to do it yet. So I am going to step up, as I've encouraged so many of my colleagues to step up into the roles that society desperately needs us to fill, even if the same society and the same systems make it hard for us to do so. So I just want to thank WAC, the listeners, Kenny Phillip, you, DJ Aaron 868, my friends, my family, my support, the quiet encouragers, the people who will pull you one side and say, hey, you're doing a thing. I want to thank everyone who has been a part of the fantastic journey of life that I've had thus far. And I want to let you all know that I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all, and I'm going to do my best to return what you all have invested in me with interest. Yeah, Aaron, you know you're right up there. And I also want to apologize to WAC, the listeners. Look, the one pop us a crying emoji, yes? To Kenny Phillip, to DJ Aaron 868, to my friends, my family, the community. I'm apologizing to you all too, because it's often the person who sharpening the knife most likely to get caught. Right? At the end of the day, sometimes the people who closest to you just have to deal with sides of you that other people don't have to deal with. That's just a reality. As they say, well, I used to say the old people say, but now as has been said, tongue and teeth must clash. Tongue and teeth must clash. Right?
Yeah, but you know when tongue and teeth mustn't clash?
Mm-hmm.
If ever you feel the age to suit a young lady, because that is unacceptable behavior.
Yeah, we ain't doing them thing again.
Right. No, but really and truly, as we end off today's program, because we are perilously close to the hour of 7 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago, I want to extend birthday greetings to Ricardo. You have not only become what?
A real Ricardo.
You have not only become a real friend, or a real brother, or a real co-worker. You are one of the most genuine souls that I've ever come across, and you are like family to me. Even though he has tried to get food from mommy regularly, and she does not ably support that.
I even get Polari in the cricket.
Are you serious? No, because they went elsewhere.
Yeah.
As you talk about cricket, all I should have seen Ricardo feel, boy, oh my gosh, it was so hilarious.
Try to feel one ball come in my direction, one for the whole thing.
But that was your one moment to shine.
Nah, I had 2 moments to shine. Remember, my golden duck caught on the first delivery.
Yeah. Anyhow. No, but really and truly, happy birthday in advance, Ricardo. Your annual roti is due tomorrow, so do look out for it.
Appreciate it.
Right, and guys, as we end off today's program, it may sound like we spoke about nothing, but we did speak about a lot. Because people just think we just come and ramble for an hour whenever we have a show like this. But if you really go through and dissect what we spoke about today, there are a lot of pertinent issues which were discussed. Right? We thank you all for sticking with us on the True Nation station. Up next is Mr. Desmond with the big band. Remember Kenny's Calypso contribution. That I don't know what else to call it, right? Where Kenny go in and play an hour and a half of Calypsos that he never published. I'm 100% sure. He's that kind of fella, Ricardo.
When? Yeah, let me know when. Let us know when.
Yeah. Don't worry, the promos will start around.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, Kenny will come and play 100 minutes of music he never even released. And talk about it was a big tune in 1944.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's that kind of fella.
The man reach extends across time, you know.
Yeah.
Including backward, especially backward.
Yeah, he's that kind of fella. But again, guys, we thank you for your commitment to WAC. Right? Because this is the only place where you could hear some of these things that is here. You might be able to hear Paul Skeens Douglas. But you talk about Tanti Mool when Lara makes some runs in the Oval.
Mm-hmm.
Big up Queen's Park Oval and they used to have our grounds.
Right.
I don't know if they remember that. But real cricket fans like me and Ricardo know about great cricket in the Oval on the grounds.
You might hear John agitation with a recitation or some great alliteration and pronunciation.
Right? So guys, thank you. I remind you that culture is my code, and I tell you that love is the currency, so spend the sum today. Let somebody know that you love them, guys. Ricardo?
Yo, this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social sage on the global stage, the metaphor king. I want to thank you guys for joining us in the living room. You realize how that song is, eh? I want to thank you guys for joining us in the living room. All right, remember, guys.
Please don't say it again.
The hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. Happy belated birthday to my fellow Taurians and to the upcoming Taurians. Yeah, big up yourself. We're nice people, even though we're miserable. Yeah. Mr. Desmond, thanks for the time, man. Keep it locked.
This is a song for our unsung hero, guitarist, Dr. Nerlin Tate, better known as Lynn Tate, from Trinidad and Tobago. Rock with the rhythm, rock, 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 steady. In the party, rock, 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 rock with me. It's Uncle Krazy, rock, 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 steady. With music history, rock, 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 rock with me. Is our story. He was a creator, San Fernando born, a true innovator of the reggae strum. What a gift, what a gift, what a gift, what a gift, what a gift. He put the name on top reggae list. What a strum, what a strum, what a strum, what a strum. This strum became the reggae idiom. This music creator with a musical vibe, a music maker, reaching for the sky, 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 for the sky. Oh yeah, he put the music on high, way from, way from, way from, way from. He is a true born Trinbagonian. He's Nerlin Tate. The man was great. Lynn Tate, a heavyweight. What a strum, what a strum, what a strum, what a strum, what a strum. Lynn Tate is he laid the foundation. What a jam, what a jam, what a jam, what a jam. Even Bob Marley say he's the man. He is Nerlin Tate, the advocate. Lynn Tate, he celebrate for your contribution as a musician, for your contribution, for your inspiration, for the reggae, rock steady, for the reggae, rock steady, for the reggae, rock steady, reggae, rock steady, reggae, rock steady. We don't know already. Reggae, rock steady, reggae, rock steady, reggae, rock steady. Created by a 3D.